Bassline, right? So I went ahead with the, I think I told you that, I went ahead with the free trial for the studio. So I got operator now.
Oh, nice.
And I think I pulled this channel 7, this bass MIDI from one of those packs I got from you.
Yeah.
And it sounds pretty good. Almost reminds me of that, like, you know, that Sweet Dreams song.
It's
But yeah, it was like, it's not having trouble like figuring out keeping things like the music theory element and keeping things in key. Just because I don't have a music theory background, I'm almost like thinking about going the approach, like, at least for now, that everything I make, just do it in A minor.
Yeah.
That's like most of the tracks that I'm listening to and that I'm digging are A minor. I might as well just like learn that one.
Question one.
You know, that one and get it down.
So question one, things in key. If you're using MIDI, you can go to MIDI effects and go to the scale, and there's all the musical scales in here. Some of the more popular ones in dance music are highlighted in purple, so like C minor, C major, and then you've got like the Phrygian scale. I'm not sure if we spoke about these before, but you can E major and put it on here, and then everything it will stay in key. So it'll keep things in key depending on this, and then you can change the root note or the bass. So if we wanted like A, so now it's A major. So now if we listen to it, so yeah, now it's totally in key, and you can click on these and it's going to change the notes.
Doesn't sound that great in that one. So is that actually moving the notes around in the MIDI?
So that the MIDI notes stay the same, but they play like a certain note.
So they like move up or down octaves or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So they'll go up or down the piano scale. That one sounds quite good. So the purpose of scales is they each evoke a different emotion. So some of them are happy, like the major, and some are more like dark and minimal, like the minor. So if we wanted like a C minor. And if there's a note that you don't like, you can just move it around. If you're getting MIDI out of these packs, these guys know what they're doing, so it's all going to be in key. So you're saving your ass there by using MIDI from a pack, and this is all in key. So if we were to look at it, you know, you don't really need to know music theory to that much, because you can really hear what's in key and what's not in key. Because if it makes you feel like awkward and like dodgy, it's probably going to be out of key. Like, you see how nothing's in this G minor, because that's out of key. But if you go up to A minor, even this one here, this one is in key. So if we had a note here, it'd be in key. You can just hear it. There's not really any knowledge involved. If it feels like it bounces off the note, and you can also add like chords. So it's really cool to learn. I never ever do this in my own music, but I know how to do it. You just like you add like steps, so and it just adds depth to your chords.
Yeah.
Yours.
So like for instance, this one, you know, it's already in A, right?
Yeah.
It's in the key of A. But it's like a little high, like it's not like deep or like bassy enough for me, like, is there an easy way to take this same like progression and just shift it down a couple octaves and still be in the same key?
Yes, so we do Command A, highlight all the notes, and then if you hold Shift and then down, it's gonna change the octave.
But can you hit record on this, by the way?
Oh, we're recording. We're recording.
Oh, okay.
So you might find that that lacks the kind of tonality that we had before. So what you can do is Command C, then Command V, and then we have two. And then if you do Shift up, we've got two lots of the same kind of pattern. And now we've got like that richness is there. And then again, we can do that. And now we've got three lots. And now we've got kind of mids, lows, and the possibilities are endless. It's just what sounds good.
Yeah, so you hold shift down and then you just hold shift and push it down or up and it'll move it one octave in the same key.
Feel free to try on your DAW now. Like if you highlight the notes in your piano roll, you can just do shift up and down and shift up or down an octave. But make sure all the notes are highlighted as well. Like I've seen like Martin Garrix's MIDI and like Tiesto's MIDI and how they do it. It looks like really beautiful and complex, but it's also quite unique. The way that they draw their MIDI, it looks like quite unconventional and almost against music theory. It's really interesting. I think if you go to YouTube and you type in like, Martin Garrix MIDI or like top EDM, you'll see how they did the MIDI for all of their top songs, and it's like it looks like a video game. It doesn't look like a musical thing. It looks like they've just drawn in like a bunch of Space Invaders, and it sounds
I mean, I was thinking more of doing it as like a layered bass line.
Yeah.
And having a couple channels of bass with like the MIDI the same, but the whatever, the processing or the instrument on it different.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I recently just did a track and it had like a low bass, a mid bass, and a high bass. So if we wanted to do that, we could either do Command D and duplicate this, and then we could stick a new sound on there. So I don't know, operator, bass. Let's say we wanted this one. We just change the instrument, and now we've got. So now they're layered. So we have your original kind of beefed up, and then we've got this really cool like amp guitar. So if we do them together. Maybe in the whole track, let's see what they sound like. So that kind of gives it like that electric pumping feel. And then it's kind of about layering the two together. So the first thing I do is kind of mix them down. So I just adjust the volumes so that they kind of sit nicely in between each other, and then assess kind of what characteristics needed to be added to this kind of amp guitar. So I think it could definitely use some reverb. So I'm just going to put some reverb on that. And then just kind of adjust. But yeah, that's cool. It's kind of got that vibe now. So and then maybe we could filter off the top end a little bit. Maybe we could like open the envelope of the filter and then close it again. So just small filter automations like this.
Yeah. Wait, so sorry, on I just opened up my file. It might be you're on a Mac, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be different on a PC because when I select all and hold shift down, it just it doesn't it's not moving the notes. It's just playing the whatever the next key down.
Really? Okay. So
Check and
try.
control down. No, that undoes it.
Let me get it quick. How to- Okay, it says for
Oh, shift command. Shift command. We don't even have command on
maybe
a Mac
Control Alt.
PC. Yeah, shift control. Gotta make sure I've got it all highlighted.
Yeah, it says shift up or down for some reason. You could move them down 12 keys and then that's an octave. So if you go down 12 times, that's up or down because there's 12 semitones in an octave. So
Yeah, that's a little more manual.
that is manual.
I guess, I mean, I could look it up, but
It
maybe.
should be shifting down. Definitely. Let's see. How's the shift? Doesn't really make sense that it's not. Have you tried the right shift, like the shift on the right?
Not, should be the same.
So they all highlighted like Control A.
Yep, control A, shift. Oh, there we go.
Oh, you did
Oh,
it.
it'll move it up, but not down. That's weird.
Is it at the lowest possible octave?
It is. Yeah, you're right.
That's cool. We got there. We got there. That makes sense. So yeah, it
Okay, cool.
shift, you control
Um,
and then shift up down to move the octave.
okay, and then the other question that I wanted to ask you, if you look at the at channel 8,
Yeah.
where I have that laser like riser.
Yeah.
You know that? Do you see that there?
Did
Yeah.
did you make that,
Um,
or is that did you flat?
what's that?
Is that did you make that yourself or is that a sample? Because
No, it's a sample, but so like what I wanted it to do was like rise and then for those next like 4 bars where I have those kind of like 4 clips on and off there. I wanted it to like continue that rise or like maybe like up a note or something. Just like a little higher pitched, basically like extend the riser.
let me just hear it.
And
Let me hear it and then I can. Oh, I love it. It's a really cool riser as well. Nice. So what we could do um, is we could click on each individual note and like crank up the transpose. So we could move the semitones up maybe by like 8. Can you hear how it's gone higher pitched? So if we were to copy this along, and then we could do the next one at 9, and then the next one at 10, and then
Yeah, I mean that maybe that'll work. The goal was like for it to be like one sustained note like across those 4 bars.
okay,
Uh,
cool. So
um, like if you listen to the reference track in the top too, I think you'll figure out what that's about.
I mean that sounds pretty badass, but yeah, let's listen. Is this the reference track? Okay. Yep. Yeah, it's really easy to see. I'll show you.
I think it's like right. I think it's right after this breakdown there.
The laser.
Nice. Such a tune.
No, I think it was. I think it was. Yeah, I think it was a bit earlier in the track, but
Maybe here.
The laser.
Nice.
yeah, kind of like that part right there, where
You.
it's like one sustained kind of laser note going. Woo!
Yeah. Cool. So we would need
The laser.
sorry, let's listen to our sample. We could get like, I think this is going to work. This is really crazy, but it's definitely going to work. So what we do is we get an echo, and then we're just going to have it on for this little bit here and turn the feedback up a lot. Okay. We need the echo to stay on after it happens, so let's see.
Yeah, you could see. I was trying to do that with a delay and see if it would work, but
The thing with the whole echo unit is you can change the feedback, and that's gonna increase the length of time that the echo is going to stay on. I've just got to get it right, and then maybe change this to pre. Almost there. Maybe feedback, and then have 100 decay. So I'd say turn up the volume a lot as well. Almost. Okay. Maybe with a delay as well. With a lot of feedback. It's not really a sustained note.
yeah, it kind of works though. I mean, the other thing that I was like trying to figure out if I could do was just take that last little note in the riser and put it in a simpler and like draw the MIDI note out for those whole 4 bars. But that didn't work either because
Really? Oh, that's my plan B. Let's see if we can.
Well, try it. Maybe I didn't do it right because it was like even if I drew it for the whole 4 bars, it's only gonna play for as long as the
Yeah.
note was. But maybe I wasn't doing it right.
Yeah, there's like a play mode if I can actually just get the note to work. So there's different like play modes. So this is quite difficult to do, but that's good. Let's see, what could we do? We could. Trying to think. Just get this full screen. Where is it? Okay. Okay. You'd maybe. Let me think. There's a way to like change the release for the play mode. Let me hear the reference track again. Sorry, this is difficult.
The laser.
Yeah, so I think what we'd need to do is create our own riser. So I'll show you how to do that. We'll go.
Yeah, that was the other thing that I was thinking is maybe just get rid of that sample completely and create it myself with an instrument.
It's really too difficult to do. That works, doesn't it? That's kind of the vibe.
Yeah.
If you wanted to find like more risers, I'd recommend like obviously I know you can't use Diva, but Diva is pretty badass for that for sounds. Maybe something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna try the Diva on my Mac and see if
Yeah, this works as a riser, and then just make it longer. So you could automate this frequency to open up over time like this.
Yeah.
And now maybe with the volume like this, and then an auto filter also like closed the bit of resonance, and then open.
So this is a separate question, but I'm curious your take on this. Someone else was telling me to never use the volume automation in the channel, because then when you go to master it in the whatever the performance view or the other view, you're gonna have all kinds of weird automation, and you're not gonna be able to control the master from there, and to use like a utility or something instead.
Yeah, a lot of people use utility and stuff, but for me, I prefer to use this because it's visual. It's a lot more visual for me, as opposed to like utility. It's just like it's not really.
Well, you can do utility like visually the same way, right?
Oh yeah, I guess so. It's never really been a problem for me, and I master like hundreds of tracks, but I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the thought was then, when you're done with this track and you take it over, like I don't know what your mastering process is either, but when you flip it then to the whatever it's called, performance mode. And you're trying to see like what decibel level like each track is hitting at. You're gonna get like false negatives because you've got like volume automation on different channels.
Yeah, it's just not really been a problem for me. Like mixing down, you can literally just highlight automations here and then just drag them down together. So like if I wanted to, I could just do that. If it needs to
Yeah.
get closer, I could just do that. It's the way I do things, and the majority of people use utility, so I know I'm onto something when I'm doing it different to everyone else. So I'm gonna, I definitely think it works. Yeah, like I think it's a question of what are you more comfortable with. So there's definitely more than one way to skin a cat here, and
For sure.
yeah, man, you could do utility and automate this, but it's just quicker for me to right click here. I find that quicker than dragging a utility in, and then
Yeah.
anything that I don't find fun, I just don't do because I find it better to like have fun in the music making process. But like if you like using utility, definitely do it. But yeah,
Oh no, I was more just asking your opinion on it.
that's
Um, the um, so the other question, well, back to the like staying in key question, or like, if I want to keep this track in A or A minor, and I'm bringing in other samples. So there's that MIDI that you showed me. Um, if it's a MIDI track, but if it's an audio track,
yeah.
would you just use like the tuner or the spectrum analyzer or something?
Yeah. If I wanted to, I'd use the tuner, but I've never used the tuner in my own music because I know by ear. If it's in key,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I think like obviously like it by ear. Like I have no real background in music theory, and I'm still like just like starting to pick up the nuance by ear. So
you.
having some kind of like visual cue, I think, is helpful.
I think once you hit a certain amount of hours, you'll have that hearing it by ear. And honestly, I think that's one of my most valuable things as a producer, just being able to hear if things are in and out of key. Because the amount of DJing I've done, thousands of hours of DJing, like I can kind of the a lot of people in DJing say you have to mix in key, and you kind of hear what is in key with one another, and you're like, oh, those chords sound good with those chords, and then you hear something that's out of key, and you hear this like it sounds awful, and you just kind of
Right.
tune to that feeling, and it's more of like feeling if it's in or out of key for me than it is like a logical process. So if you think something's out of key, definitely chuck a tuner on there, and if it's audio, just start transposing it up and down until it sounds like it's in the right place. So I'll normally, if something's out of place, I'll transpose it up one semitone or down a semitone just to see how that affects how it feels. And if it clicks into place, then it's like, you know, you've put it back into key. So yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that approach of just like as I'm starting, just keeping my tracks in A minor,
Yeah,
so I get like familiar with at least like that range.
definitely. You can also go on the top 100 on Beatport and listen to tracks, and then if they're in A minor, a lot of popular tracks are in A minor. Again, I've got quite a broad song, and like F minor as well is quite popular in the number one spot because of the emotions. It's quite an energetic key. Same with A minor, G, C. So I'd say make about 100 tracks in A minor and then move to F minor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I also came to that conclusion like based on this reference track, which is from this artist that I'm really digging, and it seems like almost all their tracks are in A minor.
Yeah.
Um,
I went through a period of making my tracks in C, so it was either C minor or C major, because the kind of each key evokes a different emotion, and there's some keys that aren't very common in dance music, like G minor, or G is quite uncommon, it can be quite uncommon sometimes, but it really, like D minor as well, but it just depends on the track, like each track you're going to hear some absolute, really great tracks in like A minor, and you're going to hear some great tracks in the C minor. There are different keys, and some, like, for me, I'd say the best key for dance music is probably F minor, just because of the amount of successful tracks that have been in F minor. But there have been great tracks in C and A minor as well. So it's yeah, train your ear, and you'll see. Oh wow, this fits in with this fits in with this. And then it doesn't really matter about theory, but it's really important to keep things in key for sure.
yeah. And then the last question I had was, say I want to take this, whatever, like this riser that you just created in channel 10, and move it to a different project, like a completely new Ableton project. There's a way to do that, right?
Definitely. So yeah, so what you do is you freeze it and then flatten it, and it turns it into audio.
But what if you want to, like, if you actually want to take the MIDI and the instrument with you to the other project?
Okay, that is a great question. I
I
mean,
assume there must be a way to do it, right?
drag it to your user library.
Yeah.
You've got this frozen riser. Oh, Ableton just crashed. What the fuck? That's something that never happened before. Yeah, let's recover it. But yeah, no, what you do is you'd save it as a preset. So it's let me see. It's saved it as audio, so I don't know if I can undo that now. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so we have the riser MIDI and the preset. So what I'd do is I'd unfreeze it, and then I'd right click here, and then I'd save a preset. So if you click on this little guy here, save it as a preset, and then
Which little guy? Sorry.
this one, the floppy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So floppy disk means a default preset. You'd save it as Tesla riser loop, reuse this for later projects. You really just have to label it and then keep a note that it's there, or you could right click and then I have use as a color. So then to come back to that, and then anytime you drag this in, it should have the same settings. So yeah, it's the same thing, but you'd have to draw the automation again.
And the MIDI you'd save separately.
Yeah, you'd have to draw it again. So I think you're better off freezing it and then flattening it, and then you have it as a sample, and then you drag up and down. A lot of big artists, they make sounds and they reuse them in other tracks, or they'll save like a preset or a patch from, like a type of riser or whatever, and then they'll just remake it. Because this is just a one note. It's really easy to remake this. It's one note in A minor,
Right.
for like 10 bars. So you just need to draw one note, and then remember that you filtered, you did a filter automation, and yeah, it's just a filter automation on this Tesla riser. So you just drag it in, do your MIDI, and then automations, and you're pretty much good to go. And there's a volume automation on it as well.
You'd think there'd be a way to just take, like, to
Yeah,
just preserve that entire channel, like with the automation and the MIDI and the instrument and everything.
yeah,
Um,
that'd be really cool. Unfortunately, I don't think you can do that. There's just some things you just can't do. Like, I know it's a pain. You could save it as a default MIDI track, but then every time you make a MIDI track, it would be this. So,
yeah,
and something that I find is when I'm doing this, and like what I'll do is it. So like let's say I like this riser, I'd freeze it and then flatten it. And once you have it as audio, you can drag it into your user library, and then it's saved as like a sound, and then you can click on it and
yeah.
just drag it in. So it's a really good riser, to be fair. But like, I have these old kind of things in my user library, and I find that I delete them. So unless you've got a big hard drive, I find myself deleting a lot of stuff, and then I'll delete like some useful. Like I had like a sample pack going, and then I accidentally deleted all of the stuff in it. So, like I was making a sample pack, and look, they're all gone now because I must have deleted them by accident. So yeah, make sure you like, I don't know, maybe put them in a folder or something that you're not going to delete. So I find that really annoying as well. But yeah, cool if Ableton in the next version, if they had a way to bring like MIDI and presets and save it as like a scene or a session or like a MIDI session or something, and then you could just that'd be cool. But
You should start using Splice.
Splice, okay. What are the benefits of that? What's Splice?
Oh, I mean, I know you were saying like you weren't a big fan of Splice, but I think it's like pretty much unlimited cloud storage for any project file. So if you were building a sample pack or whatever, you could just drop all of your samples into a project file, collect all and save, and then it's like stored on the cloud without having to, back up to an external hard drive or have it on your computer or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I could do that with like Dropbox or whatever. I'm just not
Yeah, Dropbox too.
free, so. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of Splice. The quality of sound I find on Splice, just not. The quality versus quantity, it's not really up to scratch. Like I've got noise, and that's more high quality samples for cheaper. So I just think that's a no brainer for me. Like Splice is definitely the mainstream option. People love Splice. Like don't get me wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, I prefer loop masters to Splice.
Maybe I'm missing a trick with Splice, but like the
No, I agree with you. There's a lot missing from Splice, and also like anybody can upload. Uh, anybody can just upload their sample pack and start selling it, and so there's no quality control.
yeah, if there's no quality control, it's just god awful. Like 9 times out of 10, if it's good, I'm going to be using it. So I kind of trust that I'm going to filter out. I had a look around Splice when I first started, and there was all this hype around it, and I was like, it's not really hitting my like sweet spot. So I looked at Splice's competitors, and I found Noise, and they were just starting out, and I don't think anyone even knows what Noise is. Now, when they were starting out, they said, name your price for a yearly subscription. So I said $10, and that's what I'm paying per year, $10. And it's like, they're partnered with Sample Phonics, and the sample packs are insane.
Is it? And how do you spell it?
So it's Noiize, or it's two Z's, I can't remember.
N-O.
Like I do a video in my course, and it says it's
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Noise versus Splice, and I explain why Noise is so much better than Splice.
Yeah. I will check it out. Loop Masters I like because it has 8 channels, and so you can play the samples with each other.
Yeah,
Um,
sick. Loop Masters is definitely the GOAT. And you can get, again, I touch on it in my course, you can get free sample packs from Loop Masters. You can download Taster ones. You can get Taster packs from Loop Masters, don't you?
I don't know about. I've heard of them referred to as like taster packs, but I know like most of the packs on there come with like at least 10, 20 free samples.
Yeah.
And you can download whatever, like up to 100 of them a day or something.
I'll show you. So like,
but yeah,
if we wanted like this deep dark,
noise looks pretty cool.
Yeah, noise is sick, man. So yeah, so like deep dark rollers, you just click download taster pack and you get like free taster pack. So let me just sign in quickly. What's my password? So I can't even remember. Hopefully no one hacks me. I don't know. So yeah, and then you get the sample pack, like a little taster. So can you see?
Oh yeah.
Like 10 samples, and from these guys as well. Like that's a huge sample pack. But yeah, it's only 13 quid. It's on sale. But yeah, if I was to show you noise, it shit splice in terms of quality. So anything with this, you see this S like logo, Phonics. So you just go on their kind of page. So you see it says like $45 to purchase without a noise membership, and I can just click on it and then it's mine. And then you just click on sample phonics, and they have all the sample phonics kits like techno one shots. There's really like silent presets. Let's see if you all. And you can get the whole sample phonics library.
Interesting. And you're unlimited with your membership?
I don't know if it's still unlimited, but when I got on it,
yeah. Oh yeah. Now unlimited is $200 a year.
yeah. So yeah, man, that's the perks of being an early adopter. Like, the atmospheric garage packs. Like, they've got some cool textural garage pack. But yeah, man, this is just sample phonics. It's just one of the creators on there. So there's a few creators, but for me, I know sample phonics, and I've access to all of these for a tenner. So 10. But yeah. So
yeah, I'll check it out. What was the other question I had? Oh yeah, so the one other question like I had about that project that we were working on is just deepening that baseline and making it sort of like harder and punchier.
yeah.
Again, like if you go back to that reference track and you hear like the bass line in there, like what I've got going on sounds nothing like that.
It's really tough. Like, processing your bass line is something that you're going to be working on for years. Like, it's never ending. Like, even if you compare this guy to like Massioplex or Tale of Us or Stefan Bodzin or Kink or Fisher or just like anyone in the number one spot, this bass line sounds weak. So it's like everyone's on their own little process journey to like getting a good bass line. This one's cool, but what we've got is different for sure. We need to do the difference between ours and theirs is the processing. So we need to learn what do they use on their processing, which is almost a question of guessing. So what we do is we group our basses together and just chuck on things that we think would So we could do this for a while. I'd say maybe some Redux could be cool. So we could have like this on one of the layers. So that's beefed it up quite considerably. It's not quite there as in terms of it's not their baseline, but you want to have your own sound. So
Totally. It's more like just like that general like genre of that like banging, just like the Fisher style kind of like with that like banging like deep like maybe it's just adding like again like another like a sub bass line or something to it.
yeah, definitely. I'd say layering is number one when it comes to creating a good bass line. And number two, it's just like years of secret processing techniques that, you know, like with Chris Lake, the guy who made Fisher's track for him, like he's been doing this for a long time, and he's just done a live stream on it's on YouTube, and you can see how he processes his stuff. So that might be worth watching.
Yeah.
I'll send that to you after this. But you know, to make those kind of bass lines, I'd say you need like a powerful synthesizer and a lot of processing. And there's just some stuff that we don't know about that the top guys have, you know. And the best thing to do is to watch their studio videos and watch what they use on their
Right.
because, you know, that's where they're going to be sharing like a few nuggets. Like some of the top guys, they don't show what they're working on in their doors, really,
Right.
because that's where the magic is, and that's, you know. But it's part of the journey. Just watching your bass lines improve, like you could chuck a drum bass. That sounds pretty good to me. And then like maybe like a bit of EQ. And then, you know, some, you know, it's just like practice makes perfect. But yeah, if you know, if you're still doing this in 5 years' time, if you looked at your bass lines 5 years ago and your bass lines in 5 years' time, you'd be like, oh my God, like it's so, you're going to have learned so much, you know, maybe even
Right. Yeah. And there's so many different ways to do it. It's like just within Ableton, and that's not even when you're getting into the different synths and VSTs and
there's thousands out there that's gonna help, you know, like sub boom bass, decapitator, you know, there's loads of things out there like tube saturation units. Serum has like overdrive distortion and filters and echo and stuff built in. It's got its own effects unit. There's all sorts to use when it comes to processing a bass. But I think that it starts with having a good sound, you know. So, like again, this pack has the pinnacle of groovy tech house bass lines. And if you want type in Max Chapman Studio Secrets, he does like a 22-minute video, and it's just a breakdown of how he processes his basses and stuff. And that was one of the first videos I watched when starting out. But it's got a lot of useful content in there, and I feel like
Nice.
if we watch it back now, you'd see, oh my god, he did this, and you can really
Yeah.
implement it. And then all of a sudden, you just jump up like another 2 levels, and you just,
Right.
you know, if you looked at Chris Lake, how he made his bass lines, you'd be able to make Chris Lake's bass lines. It's not, it's like their hit VSTs and stuff is what makes their bass lines so good. There's no secret really. They're still playing notes. It's just sample selection and processing and the external VSTs they use.
Yeah. So I gotta jump. I'm doing this PayPal right now.
Cool. All right.